hands up. Kev, are you there somewhere? Kev had a question.
Yeah, obviously I'm from Nottingham, and I come here and it's great, you know, everybody's all sorted, you know, they've got everything. I'm trying to get something going in Nottingham County because Nottinghamshire, they had a brilliant NEU meeting and everything. I went to that, it was great, everyone was organised. I'm literally across the road from where the boundaries are. Can everybody please send me stuff so I can put it into my school's group chat so I can push everything from tonight onto them? And that's it.
Okay, right, thank you, because I was just going to say something about that before we go. So we're all, basically, Parents for Safe Return, we're all little pockets of campaigns that have come together, and we're slowly growing through our own networks of previous campaigns like anti-academy campaigns and More Than a Score, and you know, so lots of people know everybody, and it is quite a small world. So I think it would be really helpful if people on here in the chat could just put, because then it will be saved and it will be distributed, if you have a Twitter account or if you have a phone number and you want us to add you to our WhatsApp group, we can do that. Pop that in, and I think if we just build our network and get it bigger, that would be the most amazing thing. So there is a Twitter account, Parents for Safe Return. I couldn't tell you what the handle is off the top of my head. But then I also run Redbridge for Education. So we've all got a lot. I'll pop mine on, you pop yours on, and I'll leave it open for a few more minutes. But if anybody else has got their hand up and wants to add anything, that would be amazing. I have a question for Salma. Is Salma still here? Did Salma go? Oh, that's a shame. I wanted to ask Salma what it was what it was like for the MPs. Was there? Oh, Salma's back. Salma, I have a question for you. Can you unmute yourself? Yeah. I have a question for you. What's it like? What's it like across the parties with the support for this kind of thing? Do you have any kind of way of knowing? Obviously the Labour Party and obviously now I know the Green Party are very up for a bit of change and a bit of revolution, but do you have any idea about the other parties?
Well, I can only give I can only give an impression, so I don't know, because I'm not in close conversations with them. But my kind of take politically at the moment is that where the Tory party is, they are interested in conducting this cultural war along the lines of Trump. They'll do it more subtly, but it's interesting how the day before, when those people were saying they're going to defend the statues and everybody knew it was going to be far-right thugs turning out, Black Lives Matter cancelled their march, that the Prime Minister was giving speeches which were very much about, which were kind of encouraging people to go out and encouraging a sense of grievance and a sense of, you know, white identity being under attack. And, you know, they very cleverly have segmented their market and they speak to that base. And so the fact that even with all the kind of BAME deaths with COVID, the figures are horrendous. And I was going to say, actually, that's another thing teachers are going to have to deal with, you know, trauma and loss and grief that we haven't touched so much on. But I can tell you in Birmingham, you know, there's not a single family that I don't know that hasn't been impacted literally with bereavement. So this stuff is really serious. And yet what's he done? He's appointed a person to lead the inquiry into structural racism, who he has written piece after piece denying that anything such as structural racism exists, and in fact criticises any activists or BAME people who have pointed out that structural racism is a reality, right? So, and I don't think it's accidental. I think this is all about giving again those signals that and trying to put anybody else into snowflake, overly woke, anti-patriotic people, and they've lumped teachers into that for a long time already. But just as in America, when we used to kind of look on in bemusement at the kind of right-wing attacks on the liberals, they've imported that model. So I'm not that optimistic, I'm afraid to say. The fact that Islamophobia inquiry went nowhere with the ECHR as well as with the Tory party. In fact, their base want them to be like that. They appeal to that base. That's where they're getting their support from. So they're not interested, quite frankly. And if there is any interest in the agenda, it's only to, I think, provoke a further kind of clash. And sadly, they do have the right-wing media backing them, and their interests kind of collide, because from my political analysis, this divide, whether it's against the working class, whether it's using race, whether it's against vulnerable people, we've heard about disability, how they have been depicted as sponges, the whole universal credit kind of debate, the whole bedroom tax. This has been one slicing away at community and social solidarity after another.
Is there any support, do you think, in the Lib Dems? Because they've been very, very quiet. What's your, your impression there?
My impression with the Lib Dems, actually, and I hope I don't get into trouble for saying this, but I predict that they will see a vacuum on the left, and the Lib Dems, when it suits them, they go play to the right, and when it suits them, play to the left. And I saw, for example, when after the anti-war marches in 2003, they presented themselves, to the left of Tony Blair's Labour Party. They presented themselves anti-war, anti-tuition fees. So I would be very surprised if they don't take this moment now to not push themselves forward as progressives. And I think, obviously I'd welcome anybody doing that. So from a political, strategic, tactical point of view, I'll put money on the fact that the Lib Dems will try and take up that space at this moment in time. The fact is the Tory party have taken up the space on the right. I think the Labour Party at the moment, the direction and the trajectory it's on is heading more and more towards the right wing. So yeah, interesting times. But what none of them, I think, predicted was this grassroots, genuine, spontaneous uprising that's happening. And I think, again, the most positive part of me would see a kind of coalescing around climate justice, around anti-racism, around all the anti-discrimination movements, because I think there was a recognition that there is a unified kind of struggle in this, where anybody who's dehumanized or has prejudice or state policies being deployed to keep them subjugated. So that's where my hope is, in terms of movement, parents, schools, very much grassroots, to keep that pressure. We haven't got, we're keeping Marcus, and bless him, he's done something fantastic, but even he couldn't have done what he did without the right-wing media taking up that, and for whatever reason they decided to give him that platform. And it's not that I know teachers who for years have been running like these kind of food services and campaigning around that. I've got, I know head teachers personally who go around, literally taking those packages and giving them to families, but they were not given that platform. And that's why we've kind of got to have the numbers if we don't have the money and the kind of media platforms. And but on the other hand, we have Zoom, but we have social media, and we have real people on the streets.
Oh, thank you ever so much.